TIGERS inside out too. I'm back in the saddle again. I'm back in the saddle again. Riding in the town alone by the light of the moon. I'm looking for Suki Jones, you crazy horse saloon. Barkeep, give me a drink. That's when she caught my eye. Shatango, give me a wink. That make a grown man cry. I'm back in the saddle again. I'm back in the saddle again. I'm back. Come easy, alright. Ooh, yeah. You better call me a doctor, feeling no pain, overloaded down the drain. Somebody give me a doctor. You better call up the ambulance. I'm deep in shock. Overloaded, baby, I can hardly walk. Somebody give me a doctor. Somebody give me a doctor. I'm feeling overvalued, and I'm straight out down that line. You better call up the doctor, feeling high. I'm overloaded, baby. I say bye-bye. Somebody give me a doctor. Oh, yeah. Somebody give me a doctor. Somebody give me a doctor. Oh, somebody give me a shot.
What is up, everybody? What is up? Can you hear us? Can you hear us? LSUOdyssey.com here with you. Let me get some water in me real quick. 7 days, everybody. 7 days from today. A week from today. 7 days is all we've got to wait until we can see LSU football once again. The purple and gold out there on the field, going for the SEC. A new look SEC, but going for the SEC all the same. Going for the college football playoff. New look college football playoff, but it actually is for our benefit, for the SEC's benefit. There's always going to be 1 and 2 loss teams who are going to compete for a national championship every single year. LSU, Georgia, Alabama, Ole Miss, Texas, there's going to be a shuffle of those type of teams. LSU are going to be in that mix every single year here under Brian Kelly, in my opinion. The 12-team playoff gives us that platform. And so here you are, 7 days away to prove it or lose it against USC. I really am serious here. While this game gives LSU, this new format, I should say, while this new format gives LSU the chance to lose a game like this and still compete for a national championship, I don't see that happening if we lose to USC. If we lose to USC, there's no chance, in my opinion, of winning a national championship in 2024. It would be too much to overcome in the end, in the aggregate. We would lose another game to some SEC school at some point, no matter how good we were, no matter how, we could go on a 10-game win streak and then lose out of nowhere to some, Oklahoma, their first season in the SEC at home. That could, it's unfathomable, the bloodbath that the SEC could be this season, especially with some of the new folks who have jumped on inside the conference. I'm not trying to say that Texas, Oklahoma are going to be good. I'm saying that because they are at least competitive, at least going to hire those coaches, at least going to bring it with, a better level of players, a better level of quarterback, especially with Texas and Oklahoma. You look at the quarterbacks they got: Jackson Arnold at Oklahoma, Quinn Ewers at Texas, better quarterbacks, among the better quarterbacks in the league. It's going to just add to the bloodbath. It's going to add to the bloodbath. It doesn't mean that, they're going to have even a very reputable first season in the SEC. It just means it adds to the bloodbath, and it adds to the difficulty, and it adds to the fun. It adds to the difficulty for our coaching staff, our players. It adds to the fun for the fans, adds to the, let's be real, it adds to the palpitations, the heart palpitations, the fear factor, the worry, the stress. So all of that in one, really, with this new SEC format. But at the same time, LSU could lose this game to USC and still be fine throughout the whole thing in the grand scheme of things, of course. But I think those of us who've seen this far too many times, LSU lose to USC, a team that really, you got Miller Moss, you got Barry Alexander, you got, some talent here, some talent there, Zach Branch. I'm trying to remember that dude's name. That's like 6'6" tight end for USC. But Dominic something. Dominic. Can't remember his name right now, but he was an absolute freak. That was a tight end. They moved to receiver. They've got some weapons that could hurt LSU, right? They've got some weapons that could hurt LSU. I don't think they have enough to beat LSU. We have gone through that. We issued our prediction 38-28 in the other video. You should definitely check that out, even though I just gave you the score. Even though I just gave you the incentive of actually checking it out. It's a game LSU should win, but I think it's going to be a difficult game. But here we are, 7 days away from that moment of revealing. There's going to be a lot about this team that is to be revealed, and one of those big things that, in my opinion, can really decide the fate of LSU this season. And it's guys who break out this season, guys who can break out and say, I'm here at LSU. I'm going to be a star for the future or the star for the now. We're going to go over the criteria of what it means to be a breakout player on this list and who could qualify and why. This is what constitutes a breakout Tiger. We're talking about guys who aren't being considered a household name among national analysts or talking heads right now. We're talking about a name you're not hearing on College Football Live outside of, Harold Perkins, Will Campbell, Emory Jones, Mason Taylor, just those guys, all of whom experienced their breakout campaigns at the same time, freshmen during their freshman year in 2022. You see what I mean? CJ Daniels, he had his breakout season last year at Liberty, over 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns. That's a breakout season, okay? That's a breakout season. Don't went away. This could be another level of breakout at the SEC level. Sure, it disqualifies him from our list. He's already had 1,000 yards. He's already had 10 plus touchdowns, at the Power 5, well, now Power 4 level. And this is another example. Malik Neighbors, his breakout campaign for this list would have been 2022, where he had 1,000 yards against the grain. He became a household name. Everyone brought him up from then on forward and brought him up as he rose game to game to game, became an All-American. It's not necessarily, it doesn't have to be the pinnacle, Heisman or Thorpe or Blitnikoff level, season, though that is obviously the definition of a breakout year. We're also talking about players who are able to have that year that establishes their supremacy among the heavyweights of college football, And so with that said, I think you understand what we're talking about here. I think you understand what we mean about guys who could be right there for LSU. Without further ado, we go into the list. I think number 10, I want to see your instant feedback. I want to see your instant names. I want to see your instant top 10s. I want to hear from you in any way, shape, form possible. Really, that's what makes this show get to that other level, is when you guys say, no, dude, you're full of shit, or okay, Lon's cooking here, or hey, he's kind of off his rocker. This guy doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Let's teach him a lesson. That's when this gets to that another level. But for me, number 10, Tyree Adams. Okay, Tyree Adams. This dude out of New Orleans, St. Aug, I think, he's that sixth man on the O-line that Brad Davis and Brian Kelly can call upon if anyone goes down. And we've already seen throughout fall camp kind of the different permutations of what that would mean with, like, certain guys went down and where things would shake up on the O-line. And almost every time Tyree Adams is involved, covering, both left or right tackle, as well as left guard. Huge spread there. This is a year where at some point, for a stretch of games, Tyree Adams will announce himself and set the stage for his SEC dominance and prominence ahead of 2025, where he'll more than likely be a starter for LSU with likely Campbell, likely Emory Jones leaving, but likely Garrett Dellinger as well. he's going to have some room there in 2025 to get a starting spot. But right now in 2024, he doesn't have to be a starter to be effective for this team. I think Tyree Adams, number 10, for me, I have such a good feeling about this dude. I have such a good feeling about this dude. He has that physicality. He has that intensity. He has that mindset. He got the Iron Man award, from Jake Flint over the summer. He's basically passed every test you could have to be a top, starter for LSU as an offensive lineman, and he's not that yet. He's not a starter yet for LSU, but he's close. And the fact that he's at a starter level and he's on the bench, for me, makes him even more hungrier. And if he gets that opportunity, I think he's going to be a very successful offensive lineman for LSU. Number 9, Kamorion Pimpton. Kamorion Pimpton. Tight end Kamorion Pimpton. Okay. Kamorion Pimpton. He's likely to receive plenty of opportunities to make a mark this season, right? I mean, he's going to be deployed alongside Mason Taylor in 12 or 13 personnel a lot. Pimpton could be a devastating red zone target with that size, with that length. He's made some startling circus catches throughout fall camp, which is, pointing to a future where he's an aerial artist, an aerial assassin for LSU. But will it happen this season, full stop, behind Mason Taylor in the pecking order, and just barely ahead of a generational, Louisiana talent like Trades Green? Pimpton will feel the heat to deliver right now. He'll feel that pressure. And he's felt the pressure, and he's already started to deliver. His success and rise has already forced the exodus of a 2023 number 2 starter, Mac Markway. He started on the road at Mississippi State last year. And, he was a young man who was much, in Pimpton's current position just last year. And it looked like, Markway was once again going to be that number 2 guy. And it was going to be between Markway and Pimpton to see kind of who's going to stay on here and who's going to maybe have to transfer. Because there's just no room for 4 top tight ends, right? Markway left only a few days into camp because Pimpton made such an impact, and he could just feel it. He could just feel the change. Markway could. Pimpton will have to make every target count, though, and he's going to have to show a far more improved intensity and aggression in his blocking schemes. He's going to have to apply himself big time to the blocking part of the game, or else he just won't be on the field. That's something we've seen pieces of in fall camp, though we've seen him more flexed out wide and used kind of as a hybrid more than anything. He's got that towering height. He's got that basketball superstar length and the trusty hands. His hands are really, really damn good under pressure. There's been a few moments where guys have been jarring it loose, but that's been from like high impact, damn good DBs, linebackers like Harold Perkins or Deshaun Spears, guys you expect to play elite coverage every time and fight for that ball and make an impact on a guy like Pimpton, if anyone's going to. But definitely a hybrid guy. Does he have what it takes to be that divine red zone target where it's just like you just kind of loft it up and he's going to get it? You just call one of those fade routes and you just loft it up to the corner of the end zone. Even if you underthrow it, he can, go underneath the dude, go underneath like that. He can go above, tower above. And he's fast enough. he could do a quick, deceptive route on the release, burn the dude, fake outside, cut inside really quick. It's just a very quick route. You just basically, from a quarterback's perspective, snap the ball and just throw the thing. Basically like a slant route, but he's faking that outside, and then he's sticking inside. Boom. The quarterback's just basically bulleting it inside. And it's really like, what are you going to do? Are you going to even be able to tackle Pimpton or a Trades Green on the 2 or 3, 4 yard line, keep them out of the end zone when they make the catch right there? A guy's dragging on him. Another guy tries to smash him, goes flying, gets a piece of him, but not enough. And I just see a lot of success with these tight ends because of plays after the catch, and because Nussmeier, he knows how to distribute the football like a point guard almost. He just knows exactly the release points, the release velocity. He's obsessed with those finer details, those obsessive mechanics. And you've heard it from people like Peyton Manning. You've heard it from so many admirers of Garrett who've come out of the woodwork now. And they know from his father, these things are going to be drilled into him. If Garrett has some mistakes, has some stuff go on, sure. But this year, I think he's going to be really helped by guys like Pimpton and Mason Taylor, of course, the tight ends, these trusty, athletic, physically dominant weapons that he can call upon at any time. And really having both Pimpton and Taylor in there, 12, 13 personnel, with that just incredibly thick and dominant offensive line, I see a really there's no excuses to not have a good running game here. And we'll get into why that should also be later on. But yeah, Kamarion Pimpton, number 9. Tyree Adams was number 10, just to refresh you. Number 9, Kamarion Pimpton. And now, number 8, Gio Paez. Gio Paez. I think Gio Paez, he played in his backfield wrecking. He was kind of played out of position. We'll just say it that way. He was played out of position in Wisconsin. And now he's being played in that backfield wrecking interior DT spot, finally, after a few seasons out of position at Wisconsin, stuck in their defense as kind of a defensive end edge rusher. And Gio Paez arrived at LSU with just 3 letters on his mind: NFL. This boy has the NFL on his mind, and just one more season, one more dance to make it happen. I think Paez is going to have spectacular moments. He's going to get a push up front. He's going to free those blitzes from the defensive ends, the edge rushers, linebackers, and some of the secondary. He's going to be a wall, limiting rushes to 2 or 3 yards here or there. He's going to have some moments where maybe it doesn't work. He's going to have our defensive interior are going to have moments where they struggle. They're going to have moments where they give up yards. But I think with Gio Paez, Jacobian Guillory, people like that in the foxhole, there's such a big chance for this defensive, tackle unit. JVR Suggs, Sean Washington really showing out now. There's such a chance by commission for them to be successful. But really, Gio Paez has the tools to be someone who can athletically change things up front. And he doesn't have to get the sack. He doesn't have to get the TFL to be effective. He's going to blow things up to free up a pathway for a guy like Perkins, for a dude like Greg Penn III, for a dude like Whit Weeks, for Gabe Relaford, for Deshaun Womack, for Braden Swinson. These defensive ends and ed rushers, Savion Jones, they don't have to just, rush the quarterback from the outside. In fact, the more points from attack you can vary, the better. Which brings us right into our next. Gabe Relaford. Gabe Relaford, everybody. Gabe Relaford. The young edge rusher, this dude, I mean, he was a fire-breathing, heat-seeking human missile crisis. That's a joke for all my boomer people. That he was a human missile crisis during this past spring game, and he hasn't stopped since. Not only does the eye test from fall camp indicate that Gabe will be a star in purple and gold, but he even received a rare, hard-earned endorsement from Will Campbell, calling him one of the hardest workers on the team. That's where he's heading. That's the level he's at. Hopefully, he'll get the reps to show out. And knowing Bo Davis and Kevin Peoples, they'll play the best players. Something tells me Relaford is one of them, even at this age. So buckle up for Relaford. Buckle up for Relaford. Fred from Plano says, I have described tight end Kamarion Pimpton, our number 9 on the list, as the second coming of Megatron. Prove me wrong. Well, I mean, he hasn't done anything yet. I mean, well, let's wait until he puts up Hall of Fame numbers. Kamarion Pimpton, who we have at number 9. I think that's a little, I've heard someone like today say that Caleb Jackson is Clyde 2.0. And it's like, whoa. We're getting way ahead of ourselves. And not only that, we're kind of disrespecting some people here. Like, kind of disrespecting some guys. Like, we don't need to do that. Like, we really don't need to do that at all. Like, we got so much great things about some of these players. We don't really need to taint them with these crazy comparisons early. Megatron. Yeah, he's tall, he's lengthy, he's a receiver-ish tight end, but Megatron, Calvin Johnson was just a receiver, a tall receiver. Kamarion Pimpton he's beefier than that. He's a tight end. So I guess my point is, I just think it's a little soon for these type of comparisons with Megatron and that type of. I mean, Fred, we know you are a man for doing it with full gusto and full on intensity, full on fanship, and I love it. I've just got to say sometimes that I just don't think Pimpton's ready for that type of a tag right now. We'll see this season. If he proves me wrong, I will say Fred called him Megatron and was right. But really, I think he's going to have to put up like double-digit touchdowns and have near 1,000 yards to do that. And I think Mason Taylor's in his way, and so are a few others, So I think he's going to have, even though he got Mac Markway out of his way to get some more targets, I think he's still – there's just so many guys in his way of getting targets, including one guy ahead of him, Mason, and one guy behind him, Tradez, just like we said. So I think he's going to have to make every one of them count. And if he can, he's going to continue to be trusted with the football. We'll see what happens. We'll see how they rotate with these aerial assassins, these receivers, these aerial artisans. But, yeah, man. So Gabe Relaford, I think he's going to be one of your best players, one of your best edge rushers on defense already as a freshman. We've got him at number 7, and that leads into number 6. Number 6, Jacobian Guillory. Very interesting Tiger here because Kelly applauded his transformation as a player and a locker room presence. Saying in so many words that Guillory, who him and Brian Kelly and Jacobian Guillory actually share the same birthday, interestingly enough, but Guillory is becoming the defensive tackle that LSU needed him to be to step up big time this campaign. Like, they need somebody, and preferably a veteran on the team, to step up. And really, let's remember how the roster was when this whole thing started, right? It was basically just Guillory as that as that freshman, as that only defensive tackle on roster, and then the freshman Dominic McKinley. You basically just had those two, and then you brought in Sean Washington as a third, okay, and then you went out and you got JVR Suggs after so much pulling teeth and insanity out there on the defensive tackle transfer portal circuit. It's been tough for LSU to find defensive tackles. Gio Paez, of course, they brought in the spring transfer window as well. So, or sorry, the winter transfer window. So it's been mixed results with the defensive tackles because we simply don't know what we're going to see. We don't know the level of ability out there. We don't know how well Bo Davis has developed them already. We don't know how much Bo Davis can develop them throughout this season. We don't know their limitations. We don't know completely what they can give us. And I know that you're going to say, well, you see fall camp and you can see what they can do here and there. Yes. And fall camp footage, being at fall camp, every single practice, watching every single second, every single little moment, every single rep, it can tell you something, of course. But nothing will tell us like them actually playing the games against opposition players, real tackling, real plays. It's for real. 0-0. Let's snap it. Kick off. Season's on. That's when you find out who has what it takes. That's when you find out who's ready for glory. And you know what? In LSU history, especially recent history, a lot of times it turns out to be guys we did not expect, right? It would start out being this dude at running back. And, I mean, let's be honest. 2019, everyone was talking about Leonard Fournette as the starter for LSU in 2019. Don't act like you were like saying any otherwise. Everyone was Leonard Fournette, Leonard Fournette, Leonard Fournette. He has a rushing touchdown in LSU's last winning last opening win, actually, a week 1 win against Georgia Southern. He scores in that game, touchdown in that game. But as we know, Leonard Fournette is supplanted very quickly by the electrifying Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And our memory just remembers that Clyde Edwards-Helaire was the starter, wire to wire, but that's not the facts. The facts was that Leonard Fournette started against Georgia Southern, scores against Georgia Southern, and was expected to be, by many in the media, many fans, to be that number 1 guy. And I don't even remember him finishing that season on roster. I think he actually left the team halfway through the season. I could be wrong on that, but my memory is telling me he didn't finish that season. It could be wrong, though. I stand to be corrected. And so with Jacobian Guillory, everyone's saying he has completely upped his game. Everyone can see that he has upped his game. Everyone can see from the eye test that Jacobian Guillory is ready for big time. You know, this guy is ready to take that next step. But here's the thing. This will be Guillory's first ever week 1 start at LSU. And one of the few times he's actually appeared in a week 1 game for LSU. And this is his 5th season, entering his 5th entire campaign. He's had some injury issues early in his career, but sure, this is his 5th entire season at LSU. He's got to show it early. He's got to show it wire to wire, or he knows, Guillory knows, there's actually a few options right in behind who could also have breakout campaigns themselves. Shown Drop Your Nuts Washington and JVR Suggs, to name a few, perhaps even freshman Dominic McKinley. So, you know, Ahmad Bro, you've got options there that could really push Jacobian Guillory to the absolute limit. Can he provide it? Can he make it? Can he make it happen? I think he can. But you know why? he is savage enough. Jacobian Guillory is savage enough. And that's why I think he can make it happen up front. I miss number 10. Dekendra DeBoss Lockett says, well, you'll have to rewind the show after, I guess. Or wait until the end where we go through them all. But right now, we just finished with number 6, which was Jacobian Guillory. And so now we are going to number 5, Sage Ryan, a player who, he's been close to a breakout season. Love him or hate him, talk crap about him, don't believe in him, whatever you think. The truth about Sage Ryan is, as you well know, even if you don't want to admit it, the numbers prove this. The film proves this. Yes, he's made some mistakes. Yes, he played a lot of soft coverage because of the scheme last year that he was told to play. And so he got burnt on some plays, but he kept it all in front of him, had 0 allowed touchdown catches. The only LSU starter from the linebackers or corners or safeties last year who did not allow a passing touchdown his way. Okay, I understand. He allowed a lot of yards, but so did everyone else because of the coverage scheme. It was terrible. So we see him now playing press man at corner. Yes, he's given up some big plays once again still, but he's also had some success. He's made some incredible plays, more success at free safety, his natural position, which we saw him play at in the spring, and he was intercepting passes at will. And then in fall camp, he's cross-trained for some reason, moved back to corner, just, I guess, to have as many options for themselves as possible. It appears the defensive coaches don't even know where he's going to be playing versus USC. But rest assured, Sage Ryan is one of the best defensive backs on this team and will be out there because he gives them the versatility and the athleticism. And I think you will see when Sage Ryan is actually deployed in a position and a scheme with coaches that are actually trying to get the best from him, put him in the best position to succeed, like Corey Raymond, a New Iberia, a guy just from that same area code as Sage, a guy who recruited Sage, got Sage to sign. He's been working with Sage closely this entire offseason. He wants this to be that moment for Sage Ryan. I mean, Sage Ryan is a former 5-star, guys. We were battling him against Alabama, and when we won his signature over Alabama, it was like Christmas. And we were the only website that predicted Sage Ryan would stay and defy Alabama. And there's a very obvious reason why we knew that ahead of time. And you can look that right up on the site right now. The timestamps there, the predictions there. And he committed on Halloween 2020. So you can look that up on the website on LSUOdyssey.com and see for yourself if we correctly predicted that or not. But that was crazy. And so Sage Ryan is a player that has been expected a lot out of him. And he hasn't really been given any opportunities to really shine. Let's be real here. He hasn't played safety. He's been playing nickel. He's been playing corner. He hasn't done anything in the return game because they haven't put him in the position at all. He hasn't had a single punt return or kick return attempt in his entire LSU career. Now, if I were to have told you, hey, Sage Ryan's going to be entering his 4th season at LSU, for one thing, you probably would have been like, whoa, he needed a 4th season? He wasn't going to the draft already at year 3? Injuries? What happened? Well, yeah, but also just the kind of the slow of his development by switching the positions up so much on him. But if I were to tell you in 2020, coming out of high school, that he would not even have a single return attempt at LSU over 4 seasons, and especially with how bad LSU special teams has been, you would have been like, dude, no way. You would not have believed me. You would not have believed me at all. You would not have believed me at all. That's how good Sage Ryan is in the return game. That's how electric he is in the return game. Will he ever get put in that position to show that again? We'll see. But I think Sage Ryan deserves to be on this list because he's had a season where he forced 5 turnovers, created 5 turnovers in 2022. Nearly that one, forced that fumble against Alabama that was nearly recovered, set up that pick 6 for Frank Wilson's son with a batted pass, had a pair of fumble recoveries in one game, a pair of forced fumbles in another, respectively, and then showcased his versatility again last year when he had 4.5 TFLs, the same amount as Mason Smith and Mekhi Wingo, guys who are playing defensive tackle in the NFL right now. So he's shown a propensity to get into the backfield and make plays with his tackling. He's shown that he can get there with his speed on the blitz. He's shown that he can create turnovers. Now, can he put it all together, playing the best position for him in Blake Baker's defense? Will they be able to give him the opportunity, and will he be able to take it? I want to see both in combination. I don't want to see Sage Ryan, put out as a placeholder player at corner. That's not doing the best for Sage Ryan, and that's not doing the best for the team either. So I want to see him at free safety, in my opinion. That's where I think we have to see Sage Ryan to get the best out of him. Will we see that? Only time will tell. And you know what? It might not be in the first few weeks. They might have a plan with, hey, we have Sage Ryan at corner until Zy Alexander is back fully healthy. Then we move him back to free safety. And Jordan Allen maybe goes back to the bench, or whoever is in that position. It looks like it could be Jordan Allen, though. But enough about Sage Ryan. We've gone into depth with him. Number 4, Kyren Lacy, receiver. And people are going to be like, whoa, breakout. Well, only reason he isn't higher on this list as the breakout is because he already had a 7-touchdown season last year while trying to, vie for targets against Brian Thomas Jr., who led the nation in touchdown catches with 17, and Malik Neighbors, who set the all-time LSU receiving and receptions records last year while being robbed of the Blitnikoff by 1 vote. Both went over 1,000 yards, both went over double-digit touchdowns, and both were drafted in the first round. And Kyren Lacy still had 7 touchdowns last season where he scored against big teams. He dominated Auburn. He scored on the road in Tuscaloosa. He was dominant and dynamite versus Wisconsin. And now he's been set apart as the next great LSU wide receiver. Can he make it happen and take that opportunity? Because his name hasn't broken out just yet. It is that name that's on the lips. It's that name that's on the tongue, that's in the ear as the next great one. But he has to go out there and make it happen now. And he knows it. Kyren Lacy, more than anyone, he knows it. And he's a player that I want to see make it happen. I want to see Kyren make it happen. I think there's been some misunderstandings in my interactions with him over the years. There's been some times he dropped some passes, and we're not going to just shy away from that and be like, oh, well, no, that was on Jaden Daniels' fault, or you should have not, it's fine that you dropped those passes. No, I'm going to say, man, you dropped those passes. Someone like Jack Best should have gotten the football. Someone like Kayshon Boutte should have gotten the football. Someone like Malik should have gotten the football. Like, we're going to have to say those type of things when you're dropping third down passes. And I felt bad about it at the time, but we had to make that criticism because that's what we saw. We have to do our job how we see it. We're never going to change that way. There was some hurt feelings. There was some kind of, like I was a hater or whatever. And he probably thinks I still am to this day. I just want him to know I am not a hater. I would not write as many profiles on him hoping for his success if I was. And Kyron, I hope I can see you after you torch USC this season and in Vegas, and hopefully give you a big hug and take a photo with you, because I think you have a chance to do something special this season. Lacey, number 2, could absolutely have the chance to do what Malik couldn't last year. Maybe win a Blitnikoff. Maybe not get cheated by the Blitnikoff people. We'll see. Either way, Kyron, he's gonna have a lot of competition for targets. That's what people aren't thinking of too. Is like, it's not just set in stone that he's gonna have 1,000 yards, that Hilton's gonna have 1,000 yards, that CJ Daniels gonna, like, all these guys are just gonna have 1,000 yards, and all these guys are just gonna put up billions of touchdowns. It's like, listen, because of the way this offense might be set up, because of how many different targets and viable receiving pieces to this offensive puzzle there are out there, not just the actual receiving core, but tight ends. And then you have running backs in the game. A guy like Landon Ibieta, is he a halfback? Is he a tight end? Is he a receiver? What is he? You throw him the football, and he's going to do something good, though. I'll tell you that. It's bottomless. It's endless. There's so many places to go to. And so Kyron Lacey is going to have to show that he is head and shoulders above everybody else, that he is the guy where you throw him the football, and not only is good stuff going to happen, but he's going to melt the opposition. He's got to show that time and time and time and time again. And you know what? Who would bet against him? I think he's got that type of mentality that breeds greatness, especially greatness under pressure. Everyone's rooting for him, though. And so maybe some people who are rooting against him might help. Hey, Kyron, you suck. Hey, Kyron, you're going to do terrible. Maybe that'll keep him hungry. Chris Hilton Jr. at number 3. Obviously, he hasn't hit his breakout season yet. He's been at LSU 4 years as well, entering his 4th season. Part of that 2021 class, another unproven 2021 class member who has always been tapped for greatness, maybe hasn't always been given the opportunity to provide that greatness. Maybe injuries have gotten in the way, and then there's been that segment of time where their own mistakes have gotten in their way. You know, Sage Ryan fits in there. Savion Jones fits in that area. There's some of these 2021 guys who have it in them to follow in the footsteps of their own fellow classmates, like Malik and Brian. The 2021 class, Coach Ed Orgeron's last class, might go down as one of the best LSU classes ever, as far as what they're going to provide and where they may end in the statistical record books. You got Nussmeier from that 2021 class as well. There's so many pieces to the puzzle here. Key leaders on this team, veteran guys who are expected to do great things on this team and step up this year, who are from that 2021 class. Chris Hilton Jr. is one of them. He has that little bit of an ankle injury just right at the end of fall camp. Worst timing for him. Bad timing for him. But it doesn't rule him out. It doesn't mean he can't have an impact in week 1. But you know what? If in any way that could really exacerbate his injury and continue his injury troubles this season, you have to really just be slow with him and let him recover fully before you throw him out there again. We need him for the long haul. I believe there is a chance here. It's why we predicted him to catch the most touchdowns of any LSU receiver this year with 12, and have one of the most receiving yards hauls with, I think it was 900. And you know what? Probably the numbers are going to be higher than we've ever seen before with the extra games. So it's probably just something we can't really fathom or even envision right now. Guys with like 1,300 yards, but it feels like they only had 800 in the season. But it's just because of the extra games. I think you're going to see Chris Hilton Jr. absolutely be a home run hitting freak for this offense. A dude who will deliver big play after big play after big play. When LSU needs something to happen, a spark, Nuss is working the running game, and he goes, okay, you know what? Play action is open right now. Sloan, Hankton are going to look at each other and be like, let's call it, baby. Let's call it air traffic control. You're clear to fly. And Nuss gets it in the shotgun, and just Chris goes on a streak route and just roasts him. And you don't even overthrow Chris Hilton Jr. You just throw it to the galaxy far, far away, and Chris, like an astronaut, just puts on his jetpack and he's there. Oh, I love those fruit snacks. Number 2 is going to probably bother some people. Garrett Nussmeier. I mean, whether you want to claim that he shouldn't be on this list or he doesn't qualify or what, I disagree. He hasn't had the full season starting yet. How could he possibly have a chance to have broken out already? Yes, he had a breakout game against Wisconsin, a breakout game against Wisconsin, a breakout game against Georgia in the 2022 SEC championship game. But he hasn't had a full season to start as quarterback yet. How could he have had an opportunity to even break out? So it's insane to me that you wouldn't put Garrett Nussmeier right at the top of this list. Either number 1 or number 2, he's your starting quarterback. Sage, calm down, calm down, calm down. He's your starting quarterback. How could he not be either number 1, number 2 on this list? It boggles the mind if you didn't have him number 1 or number 2. Because not only if he breaks out, if he has a good season, not only will it be a breakout and thought of as for sure a breakout, but he could be in Heisman discussions. He could be leading LSU to, the tippy top of the SEC championship rankings. Potentially being in that SEC championship game, potentially being one of the top seeds. If top 4 seeds if you win the SEC championship game, one of the top 4 with a bye. Or if you lose that game, close game, maybe only 1 or 2 losses, potentially you're one of those top higher seeds hosting that first round game in Tigers Stadium. So if Nussmeier has a breakout season, 2024 LSU are going to have a dominant breakout year under Brian Kelly. The way Nussmeier goes, the way this team goes. And I think the way the offensive line goes, the way Garrett Nussmeier is going to go as well. I think if you see injuries, I think if you see trouble, I think if you see chaos with the offensive line, I think if you see, some distractions like we just had right there. My God, he knocks over the water bottle. It sounds like literally a gun going off. It's like, what is that? If you have this type of stuff going on with your offensive line where you're shuffling this guy here, shuffling that guy there, yeah, versatility can only help you out so much. You've taken so many reps with DJ Chester. You've taken at center, so many reps with Will Campbell guarding your blind side. You know what I'm talking about. For each one of these guys, you have to reshuffle the pack. It might look a little different. It might be a little more rudimentary. That might take away some dimension to this offense, some free flowing to this offense, and it might be a pretty conservative offense. I don't give a shit. As long as LSU are winning games, as long as LSU are beating teams, as long as LSU are in the college football playoff, as long as LSU are where they should be, which is absolutely within the top 10 every single year. That's not just a divine right. LSU have been just behind Alabama, as who just had the greatest dynasty in college football history. We have only been second to Alabama in the 21st century, this century, as far as winning national championships. 1-3, gone to 4. And that just shows you that if LSU can fine tune a little bit of this, a little bit of that, put together a staff like we've got right now. Look at that defensive staff. Are you telling me that's a staff that can't win a national championship at LSU? Are you telling me that that offensive staff can't win a national championship at LSU? You know, a lot of people mocked us having LSU in the college football playoff. We had LSU losing in the quarterfinals to Ohio State, and I really felt like I was selling LSU short doing that. I really wanted to put LSU in the semifinals. And a lot of people were mocking us, thought, of course, you're biased. Of course, because you're an LSU fan, of course you would do that. Who agreed with us? Mr. Nick Saban agreed with us. Mr. Nick Saban had LSU as well in his college football playoff. And guess what he called Garrett Nussmeier? Nick Saban, I believe on the Pat McAfee show, called Garrett Nussmeier perhaps the greatest sleeper of all time. Nick Saban, though that is a direct quote, said that Garrett Nussmeier is perhaps the greatest sleeper quarterback of all time. And you know what? He's right. Because this is a guy no one's talking about. No one even has in their top 10 Heisman hopeful lists. They look like absolute fools doing that. And then he's a dude who could absolutely put up 40, 45 touchdowns through the air. And I wouldn't bat an eyelash. And I think if you batted an eyelash at that, I don't think you're very smart as a football person. I understand how difficult it is to throw 40 touchdowns in a season. I understand how difficult it is to be one of the best SEC quarterbacks. I've covered this sport enough to know how much you have to work, how much you have to obsess, how much you have to grind, how much you have to sacrifice. And guess what? Garrett Nussmeier has done that. Garrett Nussmeier is ready for that moment. Garrett Nussmeier is ready to be ordained as the next great quarterback at LSU. Following in the footsteps right behind Jaden Daniels, right behind Joe Burrow. Inspired, but totally his own type of guy. Inspired by them, loves Joe Burrow, loves, best friends with Jaden, learning from Jaden last year, but he is his own guy. This might not be the season Garrett Nussmeier wins his Heisman. This might not be the season Garrett Nussmeier, goes all out, leads LSU to a national championship. I do, however, believe that it's going to be a season where Garrett Nussmeier stamps his name, becomes a household name throughout every, college football arena, every college football commentator's desk. They will know his name and they will speak of his name, and he will become. That's the next. That's that LSU quarterback who's great. That's that guy who's destined for greatness. Watch out for him. If he stays for 2 years, he might be able to do that 2-year run, just like Burrow and Daniels. And so I think that this is going to be a year where Garrett Nussmeier sets that table, prepares that feast, and, kind of gets his knives and forks and kind of digs in and kind of gets going and kind of gets it settled and gets this thing on the pathway to greatness for potentially a 2-year run at this. Potentially he just goes in here for 1 year, does something great, 40 plus touchdowns, almost 4,000 yards through the air, or over 4,000 yards through the air, and then he's done. We'll see. We'll see with Nussmeier. We'll see what he wants to do. Number one, though. Number one. I think this is easy. Caleb Jackson. I think this is easy to put Caleb Jackson as this number one guy. And you know why? Here's why. Because he is going to, in my opinion, probably be given the ball more than anybody in that backfield. And possibly given the football more than anybody on LSU's offense. Truly as that dude who is trusted with the ball more than anybody. Because we've seen what he can do rushing the football right there. We've seen what he can do catching the football. We've seen what he can do even in the return game. He is an absolute threat no matter where and how he has the football. And he's physically dominant now, 235. Still just as fast. Maybe take a little bit of speed off of what he had before. It doesn't matter because he's gotten a year better. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Shifty agility and then the physicality, the punishing physicality after the play. Look at that movement to get. I wish that guy. This dude really ruins a great angle right here. This guy, like this man with this arm, this purple shirt, like this man, he should be condemned. What he ruined. He ruined an absolute brilliant angle there from Caleb Jackson. So, Caleb Jackson, I think he's that next superstar running back at LSU. And I think that's not a stretch. I don't think that's crazy to expect Caleb to do things like this. I mean, look at this. He just deletes the dude. This is him catching the football out of the backfield. And look at that. He just chomps down 13 yards like it's nothing. And that's with good tackling. That was a guy with some good tackling. Because here's the thing. He may have gotten pasted by Caleb, but he didn't let Caleb keep going. I think that's a pretty badass tackle, actually, by Asante to take a deleting hit like that and actually take Caleb out still. That's a brilliant play design. You fake the toss, he levels out, and you quickly bullet that right into his breadbasket, and he goes. Caleb Jackson, y'all. Caleb Jackson is our number one top 10 breakout Tigers of 2024. I expect him to have that 1,000-yard rushing season. I really don't think that's a stretch to expect because I think he's going to be given the ball that much. I think he's going to have that many opportunities. So let's go through the list again. Number 10 is Tyree Adams, offensive lineman Tyree Adams. That sixth-man, swing-man offensive lineman who I know is going to be utilized a lot more than people expect. Someone's going to go down at some point. He's going to come in. His versatility, his ability to come in off the bench and add that quality, it's going to be on display. A future starter ready to make his impact now off the bench. Number 9, we had Kamorion Pimpton, tight end. Can he be that red zone finisher? Can he be that we won't say Megatron, but can he be that Optimus Prime who gets maybe 2 or 3 targets a game, high quality, high value targets to make a difference, make big plays? Will he be able to take advantage of those opportunities? Or could he just flat out be, like as Fred from Plano said, a Megatron type player, which maybe KP could turn into that type of a player. Maybe he could turn into a dude who's going to catch 1,000 yards, 15, 14 touchdowns at LSU. But I think that's maybe a year away from that happening, especially when you got Mason Taylor getting a lot of those targets. We had at number 8, Gio Paez, defensive tackle, Gio Paez. Number 7, we had Gabe Relaford, who I just think he's already one of LSU's best defensive ends, defensive pass rushers. You got to play this kid this year. Got to play this kid. Number 6, Jacobian Guillory, defensive tackle, because if he breaks out, it will be of massive importance and value for LSU's defense. If Guillory can break out, LSU's defense will have a far, far better chance of being a successful defense, at least with an anchor at defensive tackle. Even if Gio Paez doesn't have a good season, even if we don't get the best from JVR Suggs, even if Shone Washington doesn't show up like he could, like he should, is that you, Shone? Is that you? You know, if we don't see that and we still get Jacobian Guillory being that anchor, that kind of Tyler Shelby character from 2019, the Mekhi Wingo from 2022, if we get him to be a Jaquelin Roy like from 2021, the only defensive tackle on the team who's like, no, you're not coming past me, mother effer, and like just shuts it all down. LSU can have a balanced enough defense to make it successful and be in the top 50, top 60. Number 5, Sage Ryan, where his versatility has shown that he can create turnovers. His versatility has shown that he can get TFLs. 4.5 last year. He created 5 turnovers in 2022. Can he put it all together in one season? Can he, actually play at the position he should play at, free safety? Will he be given that opportunity for once? Or will he have to make it happen at corner? It's a very interesting situation with Sage Ryan. And I wonder if the defensive coaches fully know where he's going to end up playing. Because he's probably going to be playing corner just until Zy Alexander is fully healthy. That's probably the plan. And then they'll probably move him back to free safety. I think that's a little weird. You got Ashton Stamps, you got PJ Woodland, 2 guys who can play corner right now. Just put PJ Woodland in for Zy if Zy isn't fully healthy to start, and then have Sage Ryan at free safety, because Sage Ryan looked unstoppable at free safety. Had such an impact, made so many plays on the ball. Blake Baker was just drooling about him. And he can use his speed and athleticism to really kind of track the ball and really make some plays. Corner, you kind of just are having him kind of as a placeholder. And I just don't know if you get the best out of him and get the best out of the team at the same time, having him out at corner. Still, regardless, I think he's one of your 4 or 5 best defensive backs. You got to have him as one of your 5 best defense. You got to have him in your 5 DBs set up. And then we had Kyron Lacy at receiver. He has that big chance to be that follow Malik right in his footsteps. A long way to break records like Malik did. A long way to touch the heights that Malik did. But Kyron Lacy can do it in his own way this season and possibly help LSU win a championship or compete for one. Something Malik was unable to do, sadly, because of that defense last year. But Lacy might have that chance this year, and he's really got to seize it. We've got to see it out on the field from Lacy. And we've seen him catch touchdowns. We've seen him play good against, some big teams on the road, some big teams in big games. We have to see him play, big time football when the game is on the line, on 3rd down, a play that he always would drop the football on. We have to see it come together. And no one wants that to happen more for Kyron Lacy than this guy right here, Lon Phillips Sullivan. We want it to happen for Kyron. Number 3, Chris Hilton Jr. Chris Hilton Jr. Wow. Chris Hilton Jr. could lead the team in touchdown catches as we have projected with 12, and one of the leading receivers. He can be that home run hitter. He's got to avoid the injuries. He can't be snake bitten by injuries anymore. Oh my God. He's gotten lucky with this ankle injury, but I hope and pray it continues throughout the season and Chris can stay injury-free, because if he can stay injury-free, you have seen what a devastating freakazoid he can be as a receiver, where he's just burning every single DB that comes at him to try and guard him off the line. They cannot touch his release. They cannot touch. Like, you really have to be extremely physical with him at the line of scrimmage, or you have no chance. And even then, if you try and be overly physical with him, he can use that leverage against you and absolutely milk you before you even knew that the ball snapped, and you're already, face first on the ground, and he's already 20, 25, 30 yards down the field catching the football. That is the type of athlete LSU have in Chris Hilton Jr. And that is the type of athlete that if LSU can fully unleash him, fully take advantage of his skill set finally, and if Chris Hilton Jr. can maximize his skill set and really set that stamp, man, oh man, he could be a first round receiver from LSU. Yet again, another first round receiver. We put number 2 was Garrett Nussmeier. I think it would be insane not to have him at the top of this list. Really, there's no excuses. He hasn't had the full season to start. Now he does. Let's see what he's got. I think we're going to see some great shit from Nussmeier this season. And number 1, we put Caleb Jackson. Simply put, he's going to have the football a lot. Simply put, he is electrifying when he has the football in his hands. And simply put, he is unbelievable. He is so fun to watch. Caleb Jackson is like absolute popcorn material. He is absolute blockbuster. Caleb Jackson, you get all your friends together and it's whoa, like money's flying up in the air. Champagne is being popped. There's guys like just sliding on the ground, just craziness is going down when Caleb Jackson has the football. And when Caleb Jackson is in the game, getting the ball in full flight, must-see television. We are grateful, once again, that LSU have a super stud like him in the backfield getting the football. You should be too. Don't take it for granted. Drink in every chance this kid has to electrify you with the football. You will absolutely be spellbound. If you haven't seen Caleb Jackson play, you're new to LSU, you're new to what LSU is as a team, what we got this year, and maybe how LSU lost a lot of big offensive players. They lost Malik Neighbors, they lost Jaden. How are they going to make up for that? How are they going to do this? Caleb Jackson, 2 words, Caleb Jackson, Caleb Jackson, Caleb Jackson. And you'll start to really have kind of some reminiscences of the great LSU running backs of old. We haven't seen a 1,000-yard running back at LSU since Ty Davis Price in 2021. We didn't see one in 2020. We saw Clyde have a 1,000-yard season in 2019. But it's been kind of hit or miss for running back position lately. No 1,000-yard rushing running back since 2021 at LSU. That's going to change this year when Caleb Jackson gets his 1,000 yards. All right, everybody. That's the list. AI Cangelosi, or Al Cangelosi, says, good breakdown. Spot on. Very thorough. Mike Prima says, what the hell is up, guys? Nothing much, man. Just going through the show. We just went through our top 10, and I'm very confident that we nailed the list. I think we nailed the list. Tyree Adams, Cameron Pimpton, Gio Paez, Gabe Relaford, Jacobian Guillory, Sage Ryan, Kyron Lacey, Chris Hilton Jr., Garrett Nussmeier, and Caleb Jackson. I really believe if those guys, if even like 4 or 5 of those guys go off this season, LSU has such a damn good chance of being a great team. Think about it. If Caleb goes off, if Garrett goes off, if Chris goes off, if Sage goes off, if Jacobian Guillory goes off, if those 5 right there are certified to be great this season, at defensive tackle, at corner or safety, at receiver, at running back, at quarterback. We already know the offensive line, what we're going to get out of them. We already know how bottomless the skill position rooms are. We already know about Harold Perkins. We already know about the talent around this defensive line. The edge rushing is just unbelievable. And led by guys like Kevin Peoples, Bo Davis leading the defensive line. I mean, the ingredients are here for LSU to be a serious contender this season. A serious contender. LSU have been harshly overlooked. LSU have been borderline disrespected. And I understand. Okay, I understand. LSU had some terrible defensive play last year. Inexcusable, unforgivable, disgusting, disgraceful defensive play. Macabre, straight up macabre defensive play. But you know what? Had LSU had literally a 58th, 66th ranked defense last year, if LSU literally had a 66th ranked defense last year, we're probably talking about LSU either being in the college football playoff or winning a national championship last year. That's how good and unstoppable that offense was last year. So you go to this year where, yes, you're not going to have video game Jaden Daniels picking up 10 yards anytime he decides to run the football. You're not going to have that. But what you are going to have is an absolute bevy of weapons for Garrett Nussmeier to hit. And he's a distributor. He knows how to get the ball out of his hands quick. And from Mason Taylor, who we think is going to lead the team in receiving, to Kyron Lacey, Chris Hilton Jr., C.J. Daniels, Aaron Anderson, Xavion Thomas, Shelton Sampson Jr., Kyle Parker, Javian Nicholas. It's Kamorion Pimpton, Tradez Green. The riches are outrageous out wide. The riches are outrageous in the aerial passing game. If there is a defense that can deal and handle that receiving core, that tight end core in one setting, then we're not doing our job. Our coaches aren't doing their job right. If any defense can handle and hang with that core, being thrown the football by a quarterback like that, who's as accurate as Garrett Nussmeier, who's as seasoned as a quarterback as Garrett Nussmeier. I know he hasn't had so much, in-game practice, and he's going to make some mistakes because of that. But every tool, every possibility is there for LSU to have an unbelievable offense. And then the talent is there for LSU to at least be respectable, at least bring back the pride of LSU defense, bring this back up, a breathing above water, which puts LSU in the top 50, top 55, top 60 range defensively. If both of those happen, there is no reason LSU won't be in the college football playoff. There's going to be a ton of close games this season, though. A lot of close games. And I would not be shocked if this USC game was. We picked LSU to win by 10. But I think the score is going to be a little deceiving. I think LSU are going to have to get a late score to kind of make it look like that. And it's going to be basically a one-score game here. LSU are going to have to win probably 4, 5, 6 one-score games this season to get in that college football playoff and to compete for a national championship. And most likely to win a national championship, they'll probably have to win 6 or 7 of those games. So, everybody, it's going to be a crazy season. 7 days away. 7 days away. What do you all think? What are your thoughts? 7 days away from LSU taking on USC at Allegiant Stadium. What are your thoughts? Type your thoughts right down there. and let us know what you think about this crazy season that we're 7 days away from. It's all of the elements are coming together.